If you're spending hours inside your Amazon Campaign Manager, I'm here to tell you are doing it wrong, because you could do this in 5 minutes or less. And in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Most sellers usually are bleeding a lot of spend just because they are not optimizing quick enough their accounts. So there are two basic approaches when it comes down to Amazon PPC optimization. First one is going to be the easy method, directly in Campaign Manager. That's the one that I'm going to show you today. And there's also an advanced method, which is through bulk optimizations and using spreadsheets. This is way faster, more efficient. Sometimes it can take more than 5 minutes though, because technically you also have to download the reports, wait for it, upload it, and then if there's any errors, you have to also adjust those as well. So today, to ensure that you understand the basics and fundamentals, we're going to go with the easy method. These strategies really are a sum of me spending hours in Amazon PPC Manager since 2020, understanding Amazon ads, helping clients scale successfully on Amazon with ads. So I wanted to make this as simple as possible so you can follow step by step. And this is going to be especially good for you if you just started out your Amazon PPC journey, just created a few campaigns, it's going to work perfectly. So first off, we want to understand what are your goals of your optimization. There are two main goals. One, it is to increase spend and visibility. Imagine that that is the addition method. We are going to add things in order to grow. We also have the optimization for profitability. That is a different angle, and that is the angle that I'm going to show you today. That is going to be to lower your bids, to add negative, to reduce bid by placement, and also to pause targets and campaigns. What we are going to do, we are going to first off locate your targeting tab. This is something that you can find in your campaign manager. You would log in, and this is what the targeting tab is going to be. Just click on that one and you're going to be redirected to here. So when it comes down to targeting, what we want to do first off to understand that this is going to showcase us only our sponsored product ads. Based on lots of accounts that we audited so far, most of the brands are running mainly sponsored product ads. So in that case, this is going to be amazing for you. Keep in mind that if you're running more sponsored brand ads, or if you're running also sponsored display ads, that is additional to this step. However, I'm just letting you know, most brands really spend 80 to 90% ad budget on sponsored product ads, so the targeting tab is your go-to. So first up, what we want to do, we want to look at everything that is noise. And we would do so by filtering it out, so the spend equals with 0, because here you might think that just because spend equals 0, that doesn't do anything to my campaigns. I'm here to tell you that those are keywords that are part of strategies that you previously might have had, but right now they do not add at all anything besides noise. So what we would do here, we would select year to date, then click apply, and then everything that is still a target within your sponsored product ad is going to showcase here, and status might be saying enabled, pause, archived. It's completely fine. What we want to do is we want to ensure that first off, we're taking all the noise out from what is next, because that is going to help out tremendously with the process. Then next, what we're going to do, we would be pausing those. So in this example that I'm showing you, there are 1,399 targets. Now, this is one of the accounts that we're managing. We've been managing it for a long time. There's a lot of data there. In this case, I know clearly that there's a lot of things that should be paused. In your case, if you just started out running your PPC ads, might not be that amount there. However, this is a great process, so you prepare the ground properly. So what we would be doing then, we would just click on those and all those targets would be paused, and this is what it would look like. Now here, as you can see, I just also highlighted if you have more than 300 targets, ensure that you're going to use these arrows, specifically the right arrow, to click within the next page of the 300 targets, and then you're going to repeat the exact same process of pausing it. Next is going to be, we're going to do some bid optimization. We are going to do a weekly bid optimization. Now this is a process that it really comes down to how much data do you have. What we love to do is we have sometimes weekly bid optimizations, which means that we are going to gather data for the last 7 days. Here, as you can see, I selected the last week's data, and then I selected these days, really important. Whenever you're going to sum this up, ensure that the last 2 days are not going to be included because there is lag in attribution. So those 2 days, there might be sales coming in, there might be orders coming in, and they're going to just muddy the water. So ensure that those 2 days are not going to be added. But here, for example, if you are going to do a weekly bid optimization, we would select last week. If you're going to select maybe a 14 days date range, whenever it is a account that it's not spending so much, Then we would do 14 days. Exactly the same process in that case. We would be starting on the 24th until the 6th. So just so you have a better idea of why sometimes this might change. Occasionally, we would also do this on a monthly basis. I'm going to show you exactly how we would do that, but it's exactly the same approach. The idea is that you have a clear date range that you're going to select to optimize. And then once that we're going to do that, really important, this is a step that I'm seeing most advertisers still forget to mention within their tutorials. And actually today's video, I went through a lot of videos to ensure that whatever I'm going to provide you is relevant and it's useful. And in most videos, it's not talked about. This is one of the processes that most videos are not talking about at all, which is matching CPC. Now, why we would do this process is imagine that whenever we are going to bid on a specific target, we would have our bid and then we would have a CPC. Now, the bid can be higher than the CPC. It can be also lower than the CPC. And why we want to understand this specific concept is because if we're not going to match our bid to the CPC, what is going to happen is that here, for example, the bid, it was previously 2.03. So the bid was lower than the CPC, meaning that it's not going to produce any more this data. So the CPC for the next potential clicks is going to be way lower. So what we want to do, we want to match the CPC. So it's going to be the relevant data for today whenever we are optimizing the account, not with the data that it was from yesterday or 2 weeks ago or whenever you did your last optimization. So what we would be doing, we are going to manually match it. You're going to click on the bid and then manually type in whatever the CPC is, and then you would save it. And this is going to be great if the CPC is higher or lower. So in this scenario, the bid was lower than the CPC. In this scenario, the bid was higher than the CPC. This is important. And again, getting back to the basics, if the bid is higher than your CPC, it means that you are going to bid higher, and this is the CPC that you're actually paying. So once we've done that, we're going to go to the next stage, which is optimizing the bids. So we would use a bid modifier sheet. We want to see how far are we from our target. Whenever it comes down to bid optimization, we like to have a target ACoS for that account. And the easiest way for us to calculate the target ACoS, we would see, all right, what is the price of the product? What is for 10% conversion, the CPC? And then that is our bid. Really important for you is to know that on each product, your ACoS, your target ACoS or break-even ACoS, it's going to be different. So once that you know that, let's say for this account it's 40% because we already are familiar with the account. So we know that it's 40%. In that scenario here, everything that is above 40%, it's going to be decreased accordingly. So let's say if our CPC is $5 and our bid is now $5 because we matched it. In this scenario, if we have, for example, 100% ACoS, we would decrease the bid by 10%, so we would end up with this new bid. Once that we understand that, we can do it for high ACoS targets. So here we would decrease the bids, and here the filters that you would add on is the filter is spend greater by $0, and then target active status, it's going to be enabled. And then we have the same date range for the past week. So here, for example, a 296% ACoS, there I'm going to add the minus 20% bids. For the sake of doing this as quickly as possible, what I would suggest you to do right now, just select everything that is above 200%, and then that is quick way for you to apply quickly on decrease bids by, and then you would add the 10%. And then you would repeat the exact same process also for the other ones, but with a different bid. Now, once that you're done with that, we're going to go through and filter by spend greater than 0, target active status enabled, and orders equal 0. What we want to look into, we would look into at the ad group level as well, because what we don't want to do is having new campaigns created that are still part of the strategy, but we don't want to alter them just right now. So here, if you take a look in the ad group section, because we like to keep the ad group name exactly as Amazon gives it, because that contains the date whenever the ad group was created, and that is helpful for us. If you have another strategy, just letting you know why we are doing it this way, then it's going to be way more helpful for me, because right now we are in September when I'm recording this video. So I know clearly here that none of the ads actually are super relevant to whatever we created now in September. And then based on the clicks and based on the spend, we would lower this by 5 to 10%, really depending on how many clicks do we have. And yes, we do want to wait until we have at least 7 clicks. So we're lowering just bit by bit until we see that, all right, we are at 30 clicks. It's still not converting. That is going to be our go-to pause the specific target. Now that we understood that, there's a third part to it. And this is also something that I have not seen so far really talked about. And this is going to be pausing wasted spend on a monthly basis. And here, as I was talking about clicks, sometimes what can happen is that you might be creating new campaigns and the clicks might come in, but in a 7-day period, 14-day period, even like 30-day period, maybe you don't have enough clicks to see is this meaningful or not. So do you have meaningful data or not? And then what we would do in that case, we would keep exactly the same filters on, but here we would select last month. And this is actually a process that we're doing on a monthly basis on the very first week of the month to ensure that for last month, everything that we created and did not generate meaningful data, all those targets that have above 30 clicks are going to be paused. So basically, this is the process. As you can see, it's straight ahead and technically it takes less than 5 minutes. I just talked you through the whole process so you can understand it. The main points here for you to take away: always decrease incrementally because your placement is going to suffer. Always double check whenever you're doing this process. Your very last step of any process that you're doing should be double check for mistakes. That is something that is going to solve a lot of headaches in the future if you're going to do that stuff. And here when it comes down to placement modifiers, now right now I did not went into placement modifiers specifically. I do want to do that as well in a next video. But when it comes down to placement modifiers, something that I want to encourage you is on an account basis, look into your campaigns. Are you using placement modifiers? Because if you are, and if you are modifying only your bids, you might still get CPC that is higher than your bid. And most of the time you won't know like why did that happen. So do check on your placement modifiers whenever it comes down to that. Really important, if you're going to modify your bids, if you're going to increase your bids, do not do that if you also have a placement modifier in place. With practice, this whole cycle would take you less than 5 minutes per optimization round. So really hope that you found this helpful. And if you did, to leave a quick message in the comment box, let me know what do you want to see next. Don't forget to check out the bid modifier spreadsheet that I left for you in the comment section. If this was helpful, do ensure that also you're going to go through the Evergreen Strategy Playbook that I put together for you. Take care.